Hey guys, it's Julian, let's get into it. 3 years ago, on a remote island, a team of hunters is in a fierce battle with giant red ants. Their leader bravely fend off an attack and urges his team to fight the ants one by one. He warns that if they don't, their defense will fall apart, and it would mean their death. Meanwhile, the supporting mages in the group are casting fireballs at the ants, but as soon as some ants are defeated, more come to attack the mages, eventually reaching them and eating them alive. The situation is dire, the soldiers are being overpowered and are being eaten as well. But just when it seems all hope is lost and the leader is about to be defeated, a mysterious mage appears, killing the ant on top of him and heals him quickly. During his recovery, the leader notices more ants ambushing the mage, and luckily another fighter steps in, using powerful lightning attacks to fend off the ants. The lightning user calls out to Yunho, a physical brute, who is able to one-hit the giant ants one by one, and with Yunho and the lightning mage working as a team, they start to easily dwindle down the ants' numbers. The hunters feel a surge of hope when they realize that these new allies are S-ranked hunters, the strongest kind, but their relief is short-lived as the real enemy, a massive white ant, emerges. Yunho and the lightning mage, identified as Yunseok, tell the healer, now known as Byung-gu, to care for the injured while they confront the white ant. The two charge forward to battle, with the boss ant focusing on Yunho and biting him, but Yunseok, from the air, discharges a powerful lightning attack on the giant ant. With the ant now damaged and paralyzed, Yunho, with his immense strength, breaks off 2 of his giant teeth. The monster screams in pain and swings at Yunho with its front leg, who retaliates by launching one of the previously broken teeth at the monster, penetrating and killing it. Before they can catch their breath, more of the white ants appear, and the two quickly conclude that the one they just killed was not the leader after all. This excites Yunho, who chooses to go all out by transforming and letting out a thunderous roar, with Yunseok doing the same by unleashing his wolverine claws, creating massive lightning attacks aimed at the new wave of ants. Elsewhere, a red-haired man, Mr. Choi, observes the battle and leads a separate group of adventurers against another swarm of red and white ants. He launches a massive fire attack, eliminating all the red ants, but the white ants continue their assault, and Mr. Choi commands his group to engage, leading to another intense battle. It is then explained that over a decade ago, Earth saw the emergence of portals to another dimension filled with monsters. The problem is, normal weapons don't work on these monsters, but some humans, known as hunters, have special powers that can defeat them. Hunters are ranked from E to S based on their magical strength, and once a hunter's powers are awakened, they can't get any stronger. In the present, near one of these portals, 2 men, Kim and Park, are talking. Park, a retired hunter whose wife is expecting their second child, plans to return to hunting for the financial benefit, but he's worried about being out of practice. As they talk, they notice a young, nervous-looking adventurer named Sung. Kim tells Sung to take care of himself, and then explains to Park that Sung is known as the weakest hunter. As an example, Sung was once injured on a very low-level mission and had to be hospitalized. Kim also concludes that if Sung was invited to this raid, then it must be an easy one. Sung runs into another hunter, Juhee, who's upset that he got hurt again. Sung reveals he was injured on an E-ranked mission, and Juhee is frustrated that the others didn't heal him. But Sung, however, tells her it's okay. It's his own fault for being too weak. Before the raid starts, the group meets their captain, Chiul, who is the highest-ranked member there, and everyone is relieved to have him in charge. Kim advises Sung to stay close to others during the raid to avoid getting hurt. But Sung, holding a weak knife and reflecting on his financial struggles, promises himself to make a difference this time. Meanwhile, in a different location, 2 men discuss government demands and how the government wants them to prevent dungeon breaks while still collecting goods from the dungeons. But they note that selling crystals obtained from slaying monsters is a common way to make a living. Inside the dungeon, Sung, celebrating his first ever victory over a goblin, holds a crystal he just obtained. But his moment of triumph is interrupted when Juhi warns him of another goblin's approach. Sung manages to block the attack just in time and tries to counterattack the sword-wielding goblin, but as he charges, his knife breaks upon impact. This leaves Sung vulnerable, and the goblin stabs him, but luckily Park quickly intervenes, skillfully defeating the goblin. Sung, who is badly injured, pulls the sword out, causing severe bleeding. Park then instructs Juhi to heal him while he rejoins the rest of the group, and as Sung receives healing, he observes the others winning their fights. Meanwhile, back at the office, the man with scars explains the significance of the crystals. He says that higher-level crystals can be made into stronger weapons to defeat more powerful monsters. He reveals the government's plan to use these magic crystals as an alternative power source to electricity and gas. The hidden purpose of the hunters, he discloses, is to gather the most potent magic crystals to make this plan possible. Back in the dungeon, the hunters have just triumphed over the final boss, a giant werewolf. Sung, still recovering in a corner, is being healed by Juhi. She cautions him that hunting is serious and dangerous, and when Sung starts to apologize, she interrupts, telling him she really hates seeing him hurt. While dividing the loot, one of the hunters discovers a hidden cave and points it out to the group. They find it strange that the dungeon hasn't closed even after defeating the main monster, suggesting there might be more monsters to defeat and more rewards to gain. The captain, Chiul, tells the group that they are supposed to report such discoveries to the Hunters Association. However, the team resists this idea, feeling the mission's pay was insufficient and the cave offers a chance for extra earnings. Chiul proposes a vote to decide their next move, but the vote is evenly split, leaving Sung with the deciding vote. Sung reflects on his personal struggles, his father's disappearance, his sister's college fees, and his mother's hospital bills. Realizing the need for more money, he casts his vote in favor of entering the cave. Outside the dungeon, the scene shifts to a young man undergoing a test for his magical abilities. After his test, he encounters recruiters in the lobby, representing various associations, trying to enlist newly ranked teenagers. One recruiter is on the phone with Mr. Choi, reporting their success in recruiting a B-ranked hunter and 2 C-ranked hunters. And Mr. Choi emphasizes the importance of recruiting talented individuals, regardless of their age or gender. Meanwhile, on the streets, a dramatic incident unfolds. 2 thieves on a motorcycle snatch a woman's purse and speed away. Their escape is abruptly halted by a tall, blonde woman who materializes in front of them. With a swift and skillful teleportation move, she not only retrieves the stolen purse but also causes the thieves to crash. The woman is soon recognized by a gathering crowd as the famous S-ranked hunter, Cha Hai. Overwhelmed by the sudden attention, Cha Hai uses her abilities to leap over the crowd and onto a nearby building to escape. In the dungeon, the group's frustration grows as they've been wandering for 40 minutes without encountering any threats. Sung feels guilty and apologizes to Juhi, who is opposed to exploring the cave. She scolds him, reminding him of his narrow escape from death earlier and criticizing his decision to further risk his safety. Sung apologizes again, reflecting on how Juhi, a B-ranked hunter, has saved him many times. Juhi lightens the mood by suggesting Sung can thank her with a meal, surprising him, and at that moment they finally reach the boss room. Outside the dungeon, in the real world, the scar-faced man introduces himself as Gun-hee, the president of the Hunters Association. He speaks to the youngsters who've just been tested for magical powers, telling them that becoming a hunter is optional but dangerous. He reminds the young ones that, if you are too arrogant and unprepared, you will die, and the only way to survive is to be more cautious. As the group enters the boss room, they find themselves in a giant circular chamber illuminated by blue flames, surrounded by giant, motionless stone statues. They're in awe, especially Sung, who is intrigued by the massive king statue. Confusion arises when they can't find the monster they're supposed to fight, but they discover writings on one of the statues, and as Chiul reads the writing, Juhi notices the king statue's eyes seem to be watching them. But Sung does not believe her, as now the statue's eyes are back in its original position. The group then hears a loud "Boom!" and realize the entrance has closed, causing them to further panic as it starts to sink in that they are trapped. One hunter rushes to the door, only to be instantly killed by a night statue, leaving the group in shock and despair with some screaming and others crying. Sung realizes the grave danger they're in, especially now that the statues have shown they can move. He recalls Juhi's observation about the king statue, and to his horror sees its eyes focusing on them. As the king's eyes glow with power, Sung yells for everyone to get down. It's too late, however, as the beams from the king's eyes fires and disintegrate members of the group instantly. Even more despair sets in as Sung comes to the conclusion that they will all be killed. Quite a bit has happened, so let's cover what we may have overlooked. Mr. Choi was one of the hunters that led a group of hunters in a battle against deadly ants, but now he is the CEO of a major company profiting from recruiting new hunters. How was he able to come up so fast in just 3 years? Moreover, where are the powerhouses Yoonho, Yoonseok, and Byung-gu? Each of them was as strong as, if not stronger than Mr. Choi. I am really curious to know where they are right now. Do they also have their own respective companies? Are they out on crazy high-level missions? What do you guys think? Meanwhile, there's a pressing situation with the party currently trapped in a dungeon room, and things seem dire. Personally, I'm really hoping that Juhi make it, because it would be absolutely tragic if she doesn't. Mr. Park as well, given that for one, he saved Sung from certain death, and he has a wife and 2 babies to come home to. As for Kim, I have mixed feelings. He seems cool, but his habit of talking behind people's backs is a bit off-putting. What do you guys think? Who will survive? And who will take their last breath in that dungeon?